Hi, and welcome to another installment of Political Election 2020. I'm Jan Smith, and as always, I'm joined by Connor Allen.
Hello, everyone.
So, following the death of Ruth Ginsburg this weekend, the Democratic Party have plunged into chaos as they scramble to stop President Trump and the GOP from filling the vacant seat in the Supreme Court and stacking the court with a 6-3 majority towards conservative justices. What do you think about this one, Connor?
Well, 2 points. First of all, descended into chaos. I mean, they've not been looking so good so far, have they? You can't really descend into chaos if you're already there. And secondly, stacking the court with conservatives. Look, it's the president's prerogative to appoint the Senate to check and balance on him. Don't really see where they're coming from, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what's happened is 3 justices have died during President Trump's term. And that's the way the court works, and that's the way it's always worked. If someone dies or retires, then the president selects the nomination, the Senate takes the nomination and considers it and ratifies it. So before we jump into this one, please, anyone who's enjoying our content, please take time to subscribe, click the bell icon. It'll give you a notification every time we release a new video, and please, if you can, like the video, leave a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm. The best thing you can do, though, is share the video if you have friends or family who you think would enjoy our content, and you wish to help us out and bring a bigger audience towards the channel. So let's jump into it. So Biden has come out and he's basically called Trump a Nazi, to put it lightly. He said,
really?
Yeah.
This has never happened before.
So he said voters of the country should be heard. They're the ones who this constitution envisions should decide who has the power to make this appointment.
They already have done. What's he on about? They already have done. The Senate is the check and balance on the president's power to appoint the judge. Voters didn't trust the Democrats with the Senate, even though, Trump was this really, really bad guy and everything. The Democrats didn't take the Senate, so therefore the voters have decided that they trust Trump to appoint Supreme Court judges.
Right, so everything is working as intended, you might say, in with regards to the Constitution. But Biden
exactly, and it's objective. Like, whether you're left wing or you're right wing, this has happened. This has happened so many times in our history. It's too many to mention. It's business as usual.
Yeah, exactly. But Biden has called this an exercise of raw political power. I mean, I don't. What does he mean by raw political power? Like, this is the same power that the president has always had. Listen, in 2016, yes, the Senate refused to confirm Obama's nomination, but he made a nomination in the same way that Trump is going to make a nomination now. He makes a nomination, and it's up to the Senate to consider that nomination.
Exactly, and back then, the voters chose to put that check on the president's power to appoint. They chose to trust the president this time around.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if there were concerns about the GOP stacking the Senate with conservative, like stacking, whatever you want to call it, but obviously this would be significant because it's going to leave a 6-3 majority of Republican elected justices on the court, and that will have profound ramifications for probably decades to come at this point, especially when it comes to things like abortion rights and the pro-life, pro-choice argument. Probably as well, gun laws and things like this as well will come into play at some point in the future, I would imagine.
Exactly, and can we just return to this point, the raw political power for a second, because it's only raw political power because Donald Trump is there. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you took away the names of the people, right, and you said to anybody with any knowledge about the Constitution, okay, you have President A and Supreme Court Judge A dies. So President A, what does he do? I would say, okay, well, he has to appoint a new judge, and the Senate has to vote it through.
Right,
Replace
exactly.
President A with Donald Trump, and suddenly, shit hits the fan, and everyone blows up about it.
Yeah, so this it's quite clear what Biden's attempting to do here. He's hoping that the voters are dumb enough to not know the Constitution and believe the rhetoric that this is some kind of like fanatical power grab by Trump and the GOP, that they're doing this against the Constitution and the Constitution doesn't allow them to do this, when in reality they're doing exactly what the Constitution, well, he's doing exactly what his duty is as the president, which is to put forward the nomination when someone dies. That's always been the case. Whether or not the Senate can agree upon it, whether they can ratify it, that's another matter. But if they do or they don't, again, that is the Senate also doing its job.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just feels like we're saying so often, we've made 20 episodes now, and it feels like in every single episode we've said the Dems are treating the voters like idiots, and they're trying to trick them into voting for them, or they're disrespecting them in some way. It feels like we said this every video, and it just keeps manifesting itself time after time after time. And if you're a voter, you have to ask yourself, do you really want these people running the country? I mean, and just to show how political it is, can you imagine if the Dems were certain that the Supreme Court appointee would fail? Okay, so they had enough defectors, and they knew in their hearts and in their minds that the appointee would be rejected. They would be demanding Trump appoint someone so he suffers the humiliation of not getting it through his own Senate, right?
Yeah,
anyone can see that.
So obviously, I mean, the Republicans have the 53-47 majority. Even in the case of a tie, then the vote would go to the Vice President, Mike Pence, who you would imagine would vote to ratify the appointment. So the Dems only need 3 defectors, so to speak, from the Republican Party. I do believe a couple of people have come out and said they don't want to vote on it just yet, but other than that, the Republicans seem to be pretty confident that they will be able to get the vote through. But that is a separate matter. I mean, here's the thing, though. Biden has now tried to kind of frame this, I suppose, in the same way that the Republicans did in 2016, which is say that no, the people need to make this decision. Well, if that's the case, why is he refusing to put forward a list of who he would have as candidates should he win the election and become president? How can the voters give him a mandate on who they want to be in the Supreme Court if he can't even put forward a list of nominations?
Oh, absolutely. It just baffles your mind, because it's so clearly nothing to do with the tradition. It's nothing to do with conventions available. It's nothing to do with procedure. They've just taken an aspect of the United States government and they're subverting it in order to target Trump. And it was very clear they had this in mind, because within 45 minutes of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing, they had, they were already pushing for this. I bet there's a contingency plan in Democratic HQ for exactly this scenario.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, as well, like, I understand, like, there are a number of Republicans in the Senate on record who have said, at the time they were saying, oh no, we can't put through a nomination in an election year. And obviously they look like hypocrites right now. And it is right to criticize. I mean, if you want to criticize those people, fine. But I mean, not only was Trump not even president at the time, so it's nothing to do with him in that regard. He's just fulfilling his role, which is to put forward the candidate, as Obama did. And obviously the Senate and the president align now in terms of they're both Republican, whereas that wasn't the case before. So all that happened before, if we just really want to bring it down, to the low denominator on this one, it's that in 2016 the president and the Senate couldn't agree. It's 2020 and they can agree now. It's as simple as that. They were elected into those positions and they can come to an agreement now. They couldn't before.
Exactly. And this is the lowest common denominator also for the outrage you're seeing. In 2016 it was politically convenient for the Democrats to appoint someone. In 2020, it's not politically convenient for the Democrats to appoint someone. So it's not favourable to the Democrats' interest, the result that's actually happening, so they're screaming bloody murder. It's so obvious. I'm really getting tired of. I want to support the Democrats. I want to say good things about them. People keep accusing us of bias. We're not, but they just make it so hard.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, they are now effectively guilty of the same thing that they're accusing the Republican senators of, because now they've switched their tune on the matter as well. So they're just as open for criticism to be called hypocrites, in the same way that many Republicans are, who said that you shouldn't be voting for a nominee in an election year. Well, now suddenly they've changed their tune when it's Trump that's in power. So all it does really is it just shows quite transparently for everyone to see that all of this is just about politics. People will bend the rules and change the rules or come up with whatever logic they need if it supports the outcome that they want. Both parties, it seems, are just as guilty of this. Having said that, Trump is the last person that you really should be going for in this one, because, like I said, and I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point, actually, but he's just fulfilling his constitutional duty to put forward a nomination for the Senate to consider. That's all he's supposed to do.
Absolutely. And I get the same thing with Mitch McConnell, actually, because, okay, there's lots of people who will be accusing Mitch McConnell of hypocrisy, but as the Senate leader, he has to set out how he'll proceed, right?
Yeah.
And the Senate leader has a duty to confirm any nomination put across, or to deny it even. So he's just allowing a vote, it seems all very procedural to me, and the outrage seems very manufactured.
Yeah, certainly. And if they wanted to go after, GOP or go after Trump in some capacity, all they had to do is just say, they're being quite hypocritical, right? Instead, by trying to make it seem like this is some kind of unconstitutional power grab, I just think it's going to backfire for them, because the voters aren't so stupid that, they're going to believe that. They understand the Constitution. They know what the role of the president is, and they know what the role of the Senate is. They know that they're acting properly here. The Democrats are just upset that it's happening while they control the presidency and control the Senate.
Talking about upset Democrats and unconstitutional power grabs. This plan to expand the Supreme Court.
Yeah, exactly. So Chuck Schumer said, if we first have to win a majority, but if we win the majority, everything is on the table. And this is something that they floated before. It's not the first time, where they're talking about expanding the Supreme Court just because they're not happy with the people that are in it. Like, this is how the Constitution lays it out. This is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, the procedure has been followed. The last time someone proposed this, and I might be wrong on this, my school history lessons are coming back to me, but I think the last person to try stacking the court was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He tried stacking it because they kept voting down every single policy that he tried to put across. So in order to break the deadlock caused by the judiciary, he threatened to do this. There's no deadlock. There's nothing going on here. They're following the procedure as it's laid out in the Constitution. Yeah,
exactly. And, if they are capable of winning over the voters and getting themselves elected in the Senate and the presidency, they will have the opportunity to replace existing justices now. And obviously, some of them will retire, some of them will pass away. That's just how it works. Sometimes it's going to be a bit more conservative, sometimes it's going to be a bit more Democrat. It just really depends on who's in charge at the time. But that's the way it's always been. If they now attempt in some kind of, ploy of vengeance when they, do eventually get elected again, which I imagine, is theoretically possible, and they decide to expand the court and stack it with a bunch of Democrats, it just completely makes the courts redundant. I mean, that would be a constitutional crisis. This isn't a constitutional crisis right now. The irony is the things that they're talking about they might do in the future, those would cause serious issues. This is not a serious issue right now. This is just normality.
You know what? Already have their justifications in place, because you can see it on the screen there. AOC, she's already beginning to spread this rhetoric that women's and LGBTQ rights are at risk.
Yes.
Okay, and this is what the left uses to justify every single subversion of democracy, every single violent attack, Antifa, BLM. All of these things are justified in fighting for this kind of goal of equality, right? They always use the same justification. So when I see AOC touting, I suppose, threats to women's and LGBTQ rights, I know what's happening next, and you know what's happening next.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's the go-to, isn't it? It's the go-to, and you see the rationale when it comes to the left now. It basically, they always fall back on this idea, although they don't say it out loud, of we are moralistically superior, we are objectively right in our morals, you are wrong. If you disagree with us, it must be because there's something wrong with you as a person.
Normally it's because you're either white, you're male, or you're rich.
And because of this, we can, in this case, expand the Supreme Court if that's what we want to do, because we're justified in doing so, because it's such a grave situation. We've decided that anyone disagreeing with us is a Nazi, so if someone that disagrees with us is in power, it must mean that the Nazis have taken over, and extreme situation calls for extreme measures. That's
so
essentially
sad. So sad to see this in America, because this is the same logic that suicide bombers use, right? The end justifies the means, okay? And it's just so sad to see this going on in America, the land of the free, freest country on planet Earth, bastion of liberty for God knows how long, way before either of us were born. And you have these unchecked extremists trying to pack the Supreme Court because they don't quite like the makeup of it. Nonsense.
It is total nonsense. And I think anyway that sort of wraps up the video for today. Of course, we will be following this story as it comes along, see what more rhetoric the Democratic Party are going to be coming out with in the next few days as they desperately try to block this vote. And just see, obviously, Trump said he's going to announce who his nomination will be on Friday or Saturday this week, so we look forward to hearing that.
It's the debate's the week after, right?
Yeah, and then you've got the debate the week after. So
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's all lined up quite nicely for for everyone to just put their cards on the table and put their policies out there and let the American people decide. So I'm really looking forward to the debate. I'm looking forward to seeing who Trump nominates on the weekend. I'm sure, of course, they have already raped someone or whatever it is. Obviously, if it's a woman, it's probably going to be less likely they'll go with that one. But whatever it is, I'm sure the Democrats already have a list of made-up attacks and people waiting.
Said something racist in 2002.
yeah, waiting to come out with victims who are going to come and tell their story, and have only just decided now is the right time to do so. So we look forward to that one.